Welcome to my latest divisional round breakdown. Today we are going to preview the NFC North, and let's start this off with the Detroit Lions. This last year, the Detroit Lions had their best season of the Super Bowl era, advancing to the NFC Championship game only to fall to the 49ers in a wild 34-31 game. Coming into 2024, the Lions look even better. I was adamant you can sign one of the studs from the 2021 draft class, but not both. But the Lions did sign both Amon-Ra and Penei Sewell to big time deals this offseason. But that means you can't sign Goff long term. Wrong again. But this stems all the way back to when NFL teams were looking for new head coaches, and the hottest name was Ben Johnson. He's staying in Detroit also. The Lions, after keeping their team intact, made it better through free agency and the draft. In free agency, the Lions made a lot of moves I really liked. My favorite was DJ Reader from Cincinnati. While I wanted the Lions to add a pass rusher opposite Aiden Hutchinson, Reader is a space eater that will eat up double teams, allowing Hutchinson to improve on his 11.5 sacks from last year. While the defense wasn't terrible last season, it definitely wasn't good, giving up the 27th most passing yards and passing touchdowns in 2023. Enter in rookie cornerbacks in the first and second round in the NFL draft. Terrion Arnold was either cornerback number 1 or number 2 on everyone's draft board, and an absolute steal at pick number 24. Rakestraw would have been a first round pick if he didn't acquire an injury late in the season. He blamed the lingering effects of the injury to a poor 40 time at the combine, but on film he's a first round talent all day long. You combine that with DJ Reader and the other acquisitions made in free agency, and the Lions defense will improve. The offense brings almost everyone back and might even improve, which is hard to do since they were 3rd in yards and 5th in points last year. You combine a better defense with this dangerous offense and you get the DTF Bold Prediction. The Lions are going to the Super Bowl. That's right, I have the Detroit Lions as the NFC representative in Super Bowl 59. The win total prediction I have for the Detroit Lions in 2024 is between 11 and 13 wins, which is over the yearly win total provided by our proud affiliate BetUS. Do you want free money? Sign up today with the link below and get a 125% bonus on your first 3 deposits. Link is in the description below. The negative 140 is not a good number, but I do like the Lions to cover over 10.5 wins for 2024. Next up, let's break down the Green Bay Packers. Last year, the Green Bay Packers started off 3-6, but finished 6-2, including winning their final 3 games in order to make the playoffs. Once they got into playoffs, they upset the heavily favored Cowboys and barely lost to San Francisco 24-21. This offseason, Jordan Love broke the bank. They got a new defensive coordinator and had 2 big-time free agent acquisitions. I'm starting off with the defense and new defensive coordinator Jeff Hafley. Hafley was in San Francisco before leaving for the college ranks. He spent the last 4 seasons as the Boston College head coach, but while he was in San Francisco, he coached his final 2 years as the defensive backs coach under the defensive coordinator Robert Saleh, who ran a wide 9 defense, a version of the 4-3. The defense under Joe Barry, the former defensive coordinator, is a 3-4. Now this is important because in 2024 you're going to run a very different defensive system. Not only is the defense different, you have someone who's been out of the NFL for the last 5 years. He does get some help in big time free agent Xavier McKinney, who signed a massive 4-year $67 million contract this offseason. The issue is, as I am making this video, Justin Simmons just signed a 1-year $8 million contract, and even though I'm high on McKinney, is he the same caliber of player Simmons is? I actually never saw McKinney as an elite player, despite the Packers giving him elite money. The help on defense is a pair of 2nd round picks. Adrian Cooper should start opposite Quay Walker to make an excellent linebacker duo for years to come, and Javon Bullard was one of my biggest draft crushes. Despite talent on this defense, I don't see how this defense won't have any growing pains, but can the defense come together in 2024? Well, we will see. Offensively, the Packers made great strides, enough enough to give Jordan Love a record-breaking contract, and they gave a lot of money to Josh Jacobs to be the Green Bay workhorse. While I'm a huge Jacobs fan, I'm not sure he fits the LaFleur system. I will say to make the playoffs last year, they needed Aaron Jones 3 straight 100-yard games, and now he's in Minnesota. Bottom line, the way this team came together late in the season, I'm not sure why Green Bay made such big moves and changes. It seemed like what they were doing was working, and for 2024, if the changes end up being upgrades, who knows how good this team could be, but I do think it will take some time. My prediction for 2024 is between 9 and 11 wins and a wild card berth. Once Green Bay's in the playoffs, who knows what they can do. Now, let's break down the Minnesota Vikings. Last season, the Vikings went 7-10 with 4 different starting quarterbacks. Kirk Cousins is now in Atlanta, and Minnesota traded up in this year's draft for J.J. McCarthy. But for 2024, Sam Darnold will be the main man in Minnesota. I love Darnold coming out of college. He was my quarterback number 1 in the 2018 draft over Baker Mayfield, Josh Allen, and Lamar Jackson, so what do I know? In Darnold's defense, he was in some bad situations. Here in Minnesota, he has weapons. Justin Jefferson signed a massive extension this offseason. TJ Hawkinson had 95 receptions last season, and rookie Jordan Addison scored 10 touchdowns. You added Aaron Jones from the Packers, so if Darnold stays healthy, this offense could be very dangerous. Last season, the Vikings switched defensive coordinators, and with excellent results. Brian Flores' defense was exciting and fun. The Vikings went from 28th in scoring defense to 13th last season, and as a football fan, I loved watching the Vikings 6-man fronts and watching offenses guess who was coming and who wasn't. They lost their best player in Daniel Hunter to free agency, but added Jonathan Greenard, who led the Texans with 12.5 sacks last season, and my number 1 defensive player in this year's draft, Dallas Turner, who I think could be a star. The Vikings' second biggest free agent acquisition was one of my favorite players in Andrew Van Ginkel. Minnesota made other free agent acquisitions, but overall, after losing Daniel Hunter and seeing Justin Jefferson's big contract, it feels like Minnesota isn't trying to recreate the '85 Bears, but build a defense that can complement a high-powered offense. This offseason for the Vikings was terrible. Their 4th-round draft pick, Kyrie Jackson, who had a real legitimate chance to be a starter, was killed in a car crash. A week later, Jordan Addison was arrested for a DUI, which will cost him a few games, maybe this season, maybe next year. Then this preseason, the Vikings' 1st-round draft pick, J.J. McCarthy, tore his meniscus and will be out for the year. It kind of feels like the Vikings are snake-bitten for 2024, but I'm not so sure. Offensively, this team could have a top 5 offense. I'm not kidding. The offensive line is young and talented. Jefferson is a top-tier wide receiver. Addison looked good last year, and TJ Hawkinson is a Pro Bowl caliber tight end. The big question is, how good can Darnold be? The Dan Talks football prediction for the Vikings is 8 to 10 wins, but missing the playoffs. I'm not sure the defense will be elite, but will, in my opinion, be above average, which I am factoring into my win total prediction. If Sam Darnold is good, this team could surprise and be a threat in the NFC. Now, let's take a look at the Chicago Bears. The Chicago Bears finished last season 7-10, but ended the season 4-2, and the defense was very impressive during those final 6 games, allowing a high of only 20 points and generating 15 turnovers. At the trade deadline last year, the Bears gave the Washington Commanders a 2nd-round pick for Montez Sweat, and the defense looked completely different. Last year, the Bears defensive coordinator resigned after week 2, and Matt Eberflus, who's a former defensive coordinator, took over play calling duties and will continue to call plays in 2024. But the Bears did bring over Eric Washington, formerly of the Buffalo Bills, to be the defensive coordinator. This defense could easily be a top 10 unit, possibly a top 5 unit, but that isn't the story going into 2024. The Bears, who acquired the number 1 pick in the draft thanks to a 2023 trade with the Panthers, used that pick on Caleb Williams. The 2023 Heisman Trophy winner probably would have been the number 1 pick in 2023, and now he arrives to a team that struggled to find their your franchise quarterback. Williams has weapons galore. The Bears smartly traded for one of my all-time favorite players in wide receiver Keenan Allen, extended DJ Moore this preseason, and drafted my favorite player in the 2024 draft, another receiver, my guy Roma Duze. The Bears also have talented tight end Cole Kmet, and in free agency got DeAndre Swift, who I am a huge fan of. Now, if you're new to my show, it's safe to say I haven't been Caleb Williams' biggest fan, and for what I consider good reason. Ever since I saw the bet for Williams' yearly passing yards total, I have been urging people to take the under. While Williams has weapons, the offensive line in Chicago hasn't been good, and while the Bears helped Williams with weapons, I felt the Bears should have made more upgrades on the O-line. That said, I'm almost finished with episode 2 on Hard Knocks and have seen Caleb Williams play in preseason, and I will admit I am impressed. However, don't forget Johnny Manziel, Ryan Leaf, and Cade McNown also looked good in preseason. I might still take action on this bet, but unlike my stance after the draft that Williams was going to be a complete bust, I will admit I might be wrong here. For the Bears to have a successful season, Williams just has to play game manager and limit mistakes. The more I look at this defense, the more I'm convinced it's the best in the North, and if Williams doesn't turn the ball over, the Bears could make a postseason push. The DTF yearly win total prediction is 7 to 9 wins for the Bears. I like the defense and I like the weapons, but I'm sour on the O-line, and I'm not sure Williams can handle life as an NFL quarterback, but we will see. To recap my NFC North predictions, I have Detroit winning as NFC North champions and winning between 11 and 13 games. I have Green Bay winning between 9 and 11 games and making the playoffs. Minnesota will win between 8 and 10 games, and I have Chicago winning between 7 and 9 games. Don't forget, this fall I am bringing you some afternoon delight. Starting September 9th, I will be live Monday through Friday, 4 Eastern, 1 Pacific, for 3 straight hours of football talk daily. Same great show where all questions are answered and anything goes. I have breakdowns on all 8 divisions. Check them all out, and I hope to see you again very soon.